Everybody being here. We had a really good week last week, bye week, and whenever your bye weeks fall, we have a schedule that we go. We practice the first 3 days, and we have a short practice on Thursday. Our coaches go out recruiting. We were able to go out last week and see a bunch of recruits. Some of our players that have committed to us of this really good class that we are signing this summer. Got a chance to see those guys play live, which was really valuable for us. Got a chance to go back on the practice field and really work on some areas that we really want to improve on. This last game we played, we turned the ball over 5 times, which is, I couldn't even remember the last time we did that. But the fortunate thing, we were able to win the football game, and that's extremely unusual. But taking care of the football, both offensively and on special teams, is huge for us. And as I go back and review the first 2 games, I think the biggest thing that I really stress with our football team is that we've played in stretches very well together. The first half of the Washington game, we played really good complementary football with our defense and our offense, playing off of each other. And I thought in the second half of last week's game, we did the same thing. We scored 3 out of 5 drives in the second half. And as disappointed as we were about how the night went, I think there's still a lot of things that we do with our kids that allow them to have a chance to win at the end of games. Believing in each other, playing together, fighting for each other, creating a turnover there in the second half, and then, finishing off in the 2-minute drill at the end of the game. Those are all positive things that we stress all year, and they showed up in that game. And so this week we're really excited to go back to work. We have a three-game homestand. This is number 2, playing a really good program in UTSA. For those of you that don't really know much about this crew, they're one of the top group of 5 programs in the country. If you look over the last 4 or 5 years, UTSA, Memphis, Tulane, Liberty, Boise, probably the top schools in America at our level. And what our guys got to understand is they're playing the 2025 UTSA team, and UTSA is playing the 2025 Colorado State team. That's what we're going to line up and do this Saturday night. Very physical team. I know their head coach well. Jeff Traylor's done a great job. We've been friends a long time, from when he was a high school coach in East Texas, and then we coached together at the University of Texas. We even roomed together for several months. So know Jeff really well, know the type of team that he's building. They've got really talented players. Offensively, they're led by their quarterback, McCown, and I tell you, it's 1,001, 1,002, and the ball's out. He really understands how to get the ball out quickly, does not hold the ball in the pocket. Really solid player for them at quarterback. Their running back is extremely explosive, Henry. They've had a 75-yard touchdown in 3 different games. I don't know that I've seen a team do that, rushing the football. And that's going to be an area that we got to do a great job. We can't allow them to have explosive plays in the running game for sure. And then they're going to test you out and throw it deep a couple times a quarter, and we're going to have to be very sound on that. So they've done a very good job on offense the last few years. Know several of their coaches there, and that's going to be a big challenge for us defensively. Their defense is big, is physical, and athletic. They got a number of new defensive players, very similar to us in their turnover defensively. They went out and got a whole new defense this year. But they are a classic 3-4 defense like the old Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to play a zero nose. They're going to play 4 eyes. They're going to have 2-9 techniques to put an edge on the defense. And, and they're going to play mostly zone on first and second down and then try to get you with their sub packages on third down. So very, very sound team. Good, hard-nosed football players. We're expecting a real challenge here Saturday night. Really want to encourage our fans to come out. This is going to be one of the best games in Canvas Stadium. in several years, really quality opponent. Will really have some postseason implications with the result of this game. So we've been looking forward to this one for a while.
Jay, when you first got here, you said one of the first things that you needed to do was teach this program how to win. When you look back, Boise State coming back against them, Utah State last year, even this past game, do you feel like your team has turned a corner in being able to stick to something and find a way to win?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of that game last year, I mean, we saw several of those our second year where we went ahead late and then we gave up the lead late. I think it's about character. I think it's about just doing the right things every day. That's how I've been raised in this profession, is that, the character you show on Saturdays is built every day with going to class, doing things the right way in a weight room, wearing the right clothes, treating people right with respect. All those things matter and they add up on game day. And I think we have a team that's full of character. I don't believe they get down on each other when things go wrong. We stuck together in that game. Whether you liked how it was played or not, we did stay together. And we did things at the end of the game that we needed to do to win. And so that's important. I think we can build on it. I think we have a football team that we just need to build consistency with. We've been working on different schemes and plans for 8 months on offense and defense. We've had 2 games under our belt. We've learned a lot about our football team, and now we got to build on that. And like I said, our whole thing is continuity, playing together, offense, defense, and special teams, and we're going to keep pushing till we get that.
As a coach, do you not believe that becomes a learned behavior, and that was something that was not in existence when you got here?
It's all learned behavior, and you have to invest a lot in your work ethic, in the weight room, and the way that you practice, and the way that you study the game. And I told the team today, I was fortunate to play on a great team at the University of Iowa my senior year, and it was a team that won 10 games and won a conference championship. But one of the things you learn when you play on teams like that is how you have to focus for 4 hours. A football game has got a lot of plays, it's got a lot of ups and downs, there's a lot of mistakes that are made, but you have to learn how to focus for 4 hours, and you can't be the guy that lets your teammates down. And I think once you have a locker room full of guys that don't want to let each other down, you really start to see progress on the field.
Been a lot of focus, obviously, on the quarterbacks, but what are your thoughts on the wide receivers right now and kind of getting Jordan Ross going?
Yeah, I think our wide receivers have had a good camp. They're very capable. We played 2 games and they haven't gotten as many opportunities as maybe we would like to see them. A big part of that is Braden as well. Braden didn't play well, especially the first half of last game. He'll be the first one to admit that. And we got to get him playing with more continuity and comfort, and getting those guys involved. I think that's really important. We've had some shots and incompletions to some guys we haven't finished, but I do think we have the makeup of a good wide receiver room. And, Jordan Ross and Armani Winfield, those guys have practiced really well, and that's just got to start correlating to games, and I think we'll start to see them show up more.
With that room, how's Kojo doing? Is he getting closer to game?
Kojo is amazing. We've had a couple things happen on our roster and our practice field that are just amazing. One of them is Kojo. Kojo, I don't know, I think he's 6 months from Achilles, and that's just almost unheard of. But he's running around, practicing, getting his reps. He's getting better every day. You're starting to see a little bit of spark and juice come back in his ability to run, because that's his real strength as a player, his ability to run in space. And so, but he hasn't missed a day of practice. I'm really hopeful as we get into conference play that he's going to be able to make an impact. And the other guy is Philip Ocon. I've never seen a guy break his right hand and start snapping left-handed and never miss a snap. I mean, he's practiced for the last month snapping with his left hand. I've never seen that. But those are the type of kids we got on our team. I mean, they just don't want to let their teammates down, and they're not going to let injury keep them off the field.
It can be emotional, obviously, if you're in Braden's position. Just how have you seen him handle this, this
I think Braden understands his role on this team. And I think his role is intensified, obviously, because he's the quarterback. But I think all of our players got to understand how their execution and understanding of situational football affects the whole team. And, I've spent a lot of time with Braden over this past week, watching ball, talking about situations, and how he can kind of change his thought process and how to help the football team. And at the end of the day, that's his job. His job is to complete passes, to get his teammates involved and put us in position to win. And I think he sees that a little bit better than he has. And Braden's a good football player. He's won a bunch of games for us. He's got a lot of experience. And now, we need to lean on that experience as we move forward.
You talked about Henry, his ability to break off big runs, but he's also been really effective, and I think he's averaging close to 6 yards to carry, everything else, those removed. How have you felt about the way your team is tackled as you go to face a back like this?
I think better. I think the formula for us is that we've got to manage the run game. And you're never going to shut people down totally, but we got to manage it, and we can't allow the explosive plays in the run game. People are going to throw the ball at times, and they're going to make a play here and there in the passing game, but you consistently can't allow explosive plays in the run game, and that's what we're going to have to get our hands around. He does a great job of cutting back. He does a great job with their duo play of bouncing and seeing daylight, and we're going to have to do a good job of playing team defense. One guy's not going to stop him. We have to do a good job of corralling them and putting edges on the defense, of guys playing their gap responsibility and filling and tackling as a unit. And that is something that I think that we will just continue to get better at defensively as the year goes along. But it's going to be really important this week.
You did mention McCown's ability to quick release. How do you disrupt a passing game when maybe without counting on sacks?
Well, I think it's important. I watched games all last weekend, and it's so important to keep guys in the pocket. I would almost rather keep a guy in a pocket than get a sack, and then or try to get sacks and let guys slip out and lose contain. If you look at most games when the game's in the balance and people are playing each other pretty evenly, a quarterback can make the difference by just sprinting out and running on third down. Braden did it our last game for the winning touchdown. And so, he's a guy, I think it's more important that we keep him in the pocket and make him read it and throw it than to try to find all kind of creative ways to sack him and let him out of the pocket at times. So we'll try to do a good job of disciplining that, and I'd like to do that the whole rest of the year, to be honest with you. I think that's the most important thing, is not letting these guys get loose and run for extra yards.
Kind of off of that, would you possibly like to get Braden out of the pocket more? It seems like he throws the ball.
Yeah, Braden has shown that he likes that. That's a strength of his. Being able to throw on the perimeter and throw on the move has been a strength. We did quite a bit of it last year, and we'll probably do more of it as we move forward. But also, we've been trying to get Braden on the edge and use his legs a little bit more. And, we're using Taj in that capacity a little bit. But I think we'll see more of that as we move forward.
So it sounds like certainly planning to start Braden again. See
Yeah.
if we can get him going. It seems like at times he, in tempo, seems to really relish that.
Yeah.
Is there some of that where, it can be a way to kind of kickstart an offense?
No doubt. Braden likes to play fast. He always has. And he's really comfortable in the 2-minute drill. That's probably his most comfortable drill. And so we'll try to utilize that. We had a chance to go back and really look at things that he likes, that we can hang our hat on. He's been our quarterback, and he is our quarterback. And, Jackson Brousseau's ready. We practiced Jackson with the 1-some last week. Our guys are comfortable with Jackson being in that one huddle. But Braden's our guy, and we got to get him playing good and feeling confident. And this is an important week for us to do that.
What about the bye week? What happened during the bye week that had you really encouraged about this team moving forward?
I just think, it's all about continuity. and it's all about getting on the field and practicing in the areas that you want to improve on and emphasize. I think every time we get this team on the field together, we're going to get better, and that's why I just think the month of September is so important. Especially with all these transfer kids, getting them on the field, having them understand what we're asking them to do, and I'll say this as a head coach. We went back and simplified last week. We're doing less than we have been doing, and I just want our guys to play comfortable and play aggressive, and really feel confident about what they're doing in every phase. And so, that was a big emphasis going back last week.
When you consider the fact that you had a lot of new on defense, you got plenty enough new on offense, you got a chance for 2 games to see it work out. Did the bye come at a good time so you could go, this was good, this was bad, now we compare it to what we think we do best?
Yeah, I think I said it last week, but I think it's great to get a bye in September, especially with all the new players you have. It just allows you to kind of take a break and look at the areas you need to improve on. You can bring some players along that really need to help you. And, there's always some guys that get nicked. We had a couple guys get nicked, and so we just got to adjust with that and move forward with it. But I thought the bye came at a good time for us.
What has allowed guys like, Taj, Lloyd, and Jalen to find success on the ground? How important do you think that's going to be this week?
It's going to be very important. It's going to be important for us the rest of the year. We want to establish a quality running game. And, at the end of the day, we want to outrush our opponent. And so that's a combination of playing good defense, getting off the field on third down, but it also is execution in our own running game and getting different people involved. I think we have a lot of players that can be productive in the running game. I mean, we love our running backs. We love Dupree. We love Justin Marshall. We love Lloyd. Those guys are all, we put Javion in there, Chop. He had a big play. I think our quarterbacks can be involved in that too. And so we want to get all those guys involved in the running game. And that's what I was saying. We've got 8 quarters right now of a sample size. And we practiced and worked on a lot of things this off season. And we want those things to start showing up in games and showing up with continuity and execution. So we have a lot of guys we think can help us in the running game, and we want to start seeing them show up.
You mentioned this homestand in September. You said the words postseason implications. Is it too early to have like a sense of urgency for not just this week but next, and kind of getting that?
No, I think we started the season with a sense of urgency. I mean, we poured a lot into these first 2 games, and the Washington game, we poured a lot into that football game. So, this team has a sense of urgency. This team understands that this is an important game. Whenever you can play one of the top Group of 5 schools, it's going to give you a measuring stick for what type of program you have. And this team has been a very good one. We're going to play on national TV. A lot of people are going to see us play. We're going to play in front of our home fans again. Can't wait to get back in canvas and get it stirred up. But no, our team understands how important this game is, and we've been pointing to it. We have a lot of high goals, and to reach our highest goals, we got to win in the preseason, and this is an important step in that.
You mentioned some of the athleticism that UTSA has on defense. I mean, looking at the film, what are some strengths they have? What are some things you're going to be targeting?
They're long on the perimeter. They're stout inside. Their backers are really run and hit players. They really their front is to tie up your offensive linemen and allow their linebackers to run. So we're going to have to do a good job on that. We're going to have to do some things schematically to affect them, but more importantly, we got to be effective, and we got to be efficient offensively, and mix in some high completions along with the running game, and we got to sustain drives and pile up runs and completions. That's the most important thing. And so they're very athletic. they've recruited to the profile of the positions on their defense really well. You know, their outside guys are long and athletic, and so we got to do a good job of handling that on the perimeter.
Yeah, and you mentioned how important it is for Braden to build that comfort early on. What's the plan to build that confidence going against a strong team like UTSA?
It's, you know, we want to get a good start. That's the key. We want to get a good start, jump on these guys early, and, you know, we always have a belief of doing that first and third quarter. So, you know, we've really looked at things a way to get him going early, and we'll try to emphasize that as we get going.